Definitely didn't realize that my camera or hand was up. But hey, Mike, how are you? Glad you're here. How are you feeling going into spring training? And just what work have you been doing lately?
Yeah, I've been feeling great. I took a little different approach this offseason and threw a lot more live BPs. So I got down to Tampa earlier than I normally would, and was lucky to have Judge, Ford, and Gary to throw to. So I threw my first live in spring training today, but it's really been like my 8th or 9th live. So I felt really good, felt comfortable, confident, everything.
Are the Yankees telling you to prepare like a starting pitcher, or are you thinking more long, multi-inning? Where's your head at?
I have no idea. I would assume that they'd stretch me out just in case I need to do one role or the other. But yeah, I stretched out to 3 innings in my lives coming into camp, and then today was 1 inning, and I know I'm throwing another one on Wednesday, and that's 2 innings. So I'm at least going 2 innings, but I have no idea what their plan is.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Brendan, you are a pro's pro. Next question goes to Eric Boland. Eric, please unmute.
Hi, Michael. What was your biggest takeaway from last season?
That you need a third pitch to pitch in the big leagues, especially if you're trying to get through the order 2 times. For me, I kind of was just sinkers the whole time. My changeup was iffy, and my slider was still pretty bad. So that was a big emphasis this offseason, was really getting feel for a breaking ball. I feel a lot more confident in it this year. And then I kind of fine-tuned my changeup to be a little bit better than it was last year. So being able to have more than one pitch that I'm confident with gives me the confidence to kind of go through lineups multiple times.
Thank you, Michael.
Sweeney Murdy, you have the next question.
Mike, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thank you. Even as a guy who's still going to be pretty sinker heavy, have you had any chance, maybe previously because your relationship with Eric Cressy, to pick Corey Kluber's brain? Have you guys connected since camp begun to kind of talk about that a little bit?
I actually haven't. He normally spends his off seasons up in Mass, and I actually go down to the Jupiter one. So I know him, and I've said like, kind of, hey, what's up, kind of whatever. We threw lives together on separate fields, but we were throwing bullpens at the same time. And it was fun throwing bullpens right next to each other and kind of seeing how serious he was with everything, where there's still the occasional one that I either miss and get mad at myself and say something, or throw a really good one and I'm really happy with myself. Kluber, he's the Klubot, you know? So he wherever his pitch was, he's the exact same face. We were warming up in the weight room right next to each other. Not a single word was spoken. And I'm kind of a personable guy. I like talking, all that kind of stuff. And it was dead silent, live BP. He's locked and loaded. So I have not been able to break into him yet, but I promise you I will.
As you're trying to keep up with that, improve your changeup and slider, who are some of the people that you're trying to either pattern yourself after or talk to, solicit advice from?
So, I mean, the big guy this offseason was Sam Breen, our pitching director. He's just so good with pitch shapes and everything. So there was also a weird calculator that he had. So I love the numbers, analytics, all that kind of stuff. So I knew the exact pitch movement that I wanted my changeup and breaking ball to be. And so he was able to figure out, however it was, the exact spin direction, spin rate, trying to think, and spin efficiency that would produce those movement numbers. So having that as a guy that I could kind of talk to the entire offseason was huge for me and my development, because I knew the movement patterns that I wanted to get, but it kind of like I was given the answers to the test, but had no idea how to get those answers. And Sam was able to provide that for me. So that was big for me this offseason.
Thank you, Mike. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Dan Martin.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Talking about you were fortunate to be able to throw to guys like Judge and things like that. What can you gain from that aside from getting the work in, facing some of the elite hitters in the game? Were you able to learn anything about how to get guys like that out, even though obviously you're not going to face them during the regular season, or do you just kind of work on things like you normally would to pitching to anyone?
Yeah, I mean, luckily I'm not facing guys like that in season, but it was awesome for me because I kind of treated it more like a bullpen than a live BP, where I'd throw what I think is an executed breaking ball and he'd take it, and Judge, whoever it is. And I can immediately say, why did you take that pitch? Instead of just being like, oh, it was an executed pitch, be happy that it was an executed pitch. Judge would say, well, that started off a little too low, or that started off a little too glove side for me to go after. Or I remember going in on him with changeups that would finish like a ball off in off the plate. And I'm like, how are you taking that pitch? Like that to me is a really executed pitch. And I feel like I'm getting a lot of swing and misses on that. And he'd say for me, as a sinker baller, he does not want anything on the inside part of the plate, because if he does make contact, it's in on his fist, it's going to be soft contact. He's looking for something away. So if I know the approach of the hitter, and that's me doing my homework or whatever, I would know that he's more susceptible to pitches off the plate away because he's looking away, or strikes on the inside part of the plate because he's not going to swing at that. And so even just finding that out made me realize, okay, I love throwing a right on right changeup, but to a guy that has that approach, I can't throw that because it's not going to be executed. And then like, I think Ford is one of the best like visual hitters. He has a great eye for the zone. And lefties have always been a struggle of mine. So being able to face him the entire offseason was great for me and my confidence to know exactly what pitches work, what pitches come out as balls and finish strikes, and what pitches start as strikes and get swings from an elite hitter like that. So it was a really fun offseason for me.
Thanks.
Marley Rivera, you have the next question.
Hi, Michael. Hope you're well. Thanks for the time. Michael, we've heard a little bit about the new facilities, the gas station. Would you be so kind to tell us, what is it like as a young pitcher, right? Like a young pitcher with such little experience right now in the majors, having all those things available to you and having to discern, obviously with your coaches, which things are helpful to you and which things are not?
I totally agree. It's absolutely insane to be like a rookie, whatever, younger guy coming in and having all this technology. And I mean, it's all props to the Yankees and kind of their ability to develop players. And the gas station, to me, I thought it was like the dumbest name in the world when it first was named the gas station. But being in there, it's like the coolest place. I live in there. I mean, I love watching all the bullpens there. You have 8 different cameras on you at all times. And so it just was able, and the Rapsodos there, they have some other, I don't know what other information it is, but to me, it's just real-time responses. So I could throw a pitch and get the exact execution that I wanted it to be. And now I'm seeing 8 different camera angles of how I executed that pitch. And then the next pitch I throw isn't executed, and I know exactly the difference between the executed pitch and the non-executed pitch. So it's just a much easier way of fine-tuning your pitches instead of just visually doing it or relying on the naked eye that really doesn't pick up anything that you actually see. So these Edgertronic cameras, Rapsodos, all the stuff that we're working with made it a lot easier to develop pitches and really have a lot of confidence going in, because you know that this pitch type works really well to these hitters. And now I feel confident that if I throw that, it's going to be executed and get some outs or soft contact, whatever it is.
Michael, is there a danger as young pitcher to have way too much information? Because it's just so much to process. How does one balance, the feel that is so necessary for you to know what pitchers are working for you today, and being, I'm not saying dependent, but just really, trying to use all these tools that can be helpful, but maybe, could hinder too?
I totally agree. And I think that's it differs pitcher to pitcher. I've been blessed to be brought up in the age of information and knowing when to use this information. And there are also times where I want to throw a bullpen and not have the Rapsodo, not have cameras, not have anything on me, where I can just kind of be athletic and throw my pitches, field and mound, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of finding a balance of knowing what days you want to work on pitch design and what days you want to work on command or mechanics or whatever it is. And that's having all these coaches down here know exactly when that is. So I've had a lot of bullpens when I was down here throughout the offseason where we'd say, all right, emphasis is command. Get rid of the Rapsodo. We're not looking at the Rapsodo. We're not looking at numbers, cameras, anything. I just want you to focus on hitting spots. So being able to balance that was easier for us. And you're absolutely right. There are some pitchers that get kind of information overload and they'd rather just go out there and throw. And I think it's one of those where you kind of have to introduce it slowly to those guys, especially if they're younger. If they're vets, they got there doing what they normally do. So it's a great tool to have, and I totally love using it. But some guys don't, Mm-hmm.